It's to stay
It's
calm
don't
and keep
ignore
to the
this
plan.
message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Slap talk, trap talk, just talk with Madam CJ. Right here on In Touch Radio every Thursday at 7 p.m.
Talk to me, baby.
Trap talk, y'all, on In Touch Radio. Listen to In Touch Radio anywhere. On your phone.
I'm listening to right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, Kubo. What have you got planned for today?
Come on, this way.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
It's the most powerful magic there is.
Head outside to discover incredible animals.
Wow.
And beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure. So grab your loved ones and explore a world of possibilities. Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
My teacher said that we should have a plan in case of an emergency. Do we have one?
First thing I'm going to do is grab a flashlight with dead batteries.
I'm going to start randomly throwing clothes in the bag. You two will be hiding in the closet and Dad won't be able to find you.
And that's when we both start crying.
Uncontrollably. Can you pass the cutlets?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
Wherever we go, we about to bring on the positive vibe. Wherever we go, we are gonna do what makes us feel right.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Soul Purpose Show. We are back. We are heard here every Saturday from 11 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock. And we are thrilled to be back at you. This is the week before Thanksgiving.
Yes,
we have so much to be thankful for.
We do.
I want to just say I'm thankful for you as being my lovely wife and co-host.
Oh, thank you. I'm thankful for you too. That's so sweet. I was not, you never know what's gonna come out your mouth because sometimes you never know. So I have to receive all the positive energy. No, I'm joking, kind of. But no, it's yes, I would agree. Next week is Thanksgiving. Because we are adhering to the CDC guidelines. We are not gathering with family. It will be us.
She's gonna swing by,
and one of our daughters is gonna swing by.
We're gonna make her sit out in the back,
right? Outside. Because we don't know who she's been around, so we're gonna pass her food through the patio. Mm-hmm. But I'm cooking, and so I have to learn how to cook for small folks because I usually cook for larger groups. But I'm excited.
I am too, and because Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
It is, and
I have to be nice to my wife between now. And I'm Keith, by the way. I'm your co-host.
And I'm Monica, but I think they knew that already. But go ahead.
They probably knew that. But I have to be nice because Thanksgiving is my favorite, and Monica's already said she's going to cook. So I can't say anything that's going to jeopardize that between now and next Thursday. But you are tuned into the Soul Purpose Show. Heard on Facebook Live. We have our own YouTube channel now. And you can hear us streaming around the world on In Touch News Radio. Shout out to Tampa Bay Tammy and her husband Daryl. So listen, November. We are still in November, yes. And November is National Adoption Month. So it's Adoption Awareness Month. And so Monica and I chose to dedicate this month to providing information on adoptions, specifically Black adoptions, because last time I checked, Monica and I are actually Black, have been Black for most of our lives.
For all of our lives. Well, I've been Black all my life, so.
So we want to make sure that we give a face that you may not see a lot and provide some information around adoption. So last week we had an incredible show. We had a couple couples who not only were adoptive parents, which you don't see a whole lot, Black adoptive parents, but they've actually started organizations to bring awareness to, and in some cases even raise money to support more Black adoptions. WAT is one of them, W-A-T, which stands for We Adopt Too, is one agency that was represented. Go on our page and check them out. And then Fab Moms, which is, I believe, was Fabulous Adoptive Black Moms, was the other agency that was represented. Please support them. Please support them, because we know that there are a lot of little Black and brown babies and a lot of Black and brown parents who would love to adopt and just don't understand, don't have the information.
Yeah, and so we are adoptive parents, adoptive parents.
Yep.
And so we are open about that because in an effort to bring awareness, as my husband said, to adoption, in hopes that more of us will foster or consider fostering or consider adoption. But in that same vein, I thought it would be a really good idea. Couples are not the only ones that adopt. You have single people who adopt, and to also have a conversation about the different ways families are created. And one of the things that I think is so fundamentally important, so I'm pretty open about our journey to adoption. I had fertility issues. I shared this on the show 2 weeks ago. We did IVF, did 2 rounds of IVF, were unsuccessful. And so we decided that adoption was the right option for us. But you have a lot of women who are desiring to be mothers, who have not found a life partner, either by choice or just because of circumstance. And while men can have babies until 90, women have a limited time period in which to conceive and carry babies. So you have lots of women who are older or getting into the space and period where it may be more difficult and challenging for them to have children, who are making purposeful decisions to become mothers, by them, be single moms. And so in doing the research for the show, I kind of Google, trying to figure out, I like to do research to kind of, before we invite guests on, so we can have a really fruitful conversation. And part of preparing for this show, I Googled mothers by choice or purposeful motherhood, Motherhood Reimagined. And to my surprise, lots of information popped up, specifically focused on women who make a choice to become mothers. They don't choose to be single. Some people do choose to be single, but some people don't choose to be single, but there may becoming a mother for them, and a single mother specifically is a choice. And I happen to know 2 of my very close friends who made that choice. And I know before we got together, that was something that was on my radar, that I was going to, because I knew I wanted to be a mom. And I said, well, I ain't gonna wait for no Prince Charming to come, because he may not come. The Lord sent him. You sent him. There's a story about how we got together too, because we'll get into that as we talk. But I wasn't going to wait around for it to happen, and I was going to do it. And so I have 2 friends that are here. I have some more, some other friends who made conscious decisions that they were going to be single moms.
Who are your friends?
My friends are Jill Briscoe and Sandra Roberts. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
We are so thrilled to have you guys join us this morning. In addition to being family, you guys bring a very unique perspective to this conversation. To Monica's point, like there was the one article that we read. This said 11 million single parents were out of them. The information around how many of them were kind of single parents by choice there wasn't as much information about them. So we said, you know what, let's put the face of what that looks like onto our social.
But I wanted you all to come specifically because I know you all are open about your journeys. And I know that there are some women who I know personally who I know are contemplating it, right? Is this the right thing for me to do? Because I really want to be a mom. And I thought it'd be helpful to have a real true conversation, transparent conversation about your journey, how you started, how you made that decision, in hopes of helping someone else who is a woman right now who may be deciding to do that with her choice. So I'm excited about this conversation.
I'm thrilled. And Jill, I'd like to start with you because I think you were out ahead of the game. Everyone in this call, because your daughter is grown now,
right?
For all intent and purpose. Tell us how this journey started for you.
Well, okay. I never found the husband. Still have not to this day. And to your point, Monica, I got to like 32, 33. All of my friends had found their husbands, had the first round of babies. Some of them were starting to even work on the second round. And I was everybody's auntie. And I love that. I love that role in my fake nieces and nephews. But at a point, I wanted my own. And I was getting to the realization that Prince Charming had not shown up. I had been in a couple of relationships where they were not successful. The men were not emotionally available to me, and it never came to fruition. But my desire to be a mother was deep in my heart. And I actually, early on, before I even got to Devin, I started calling her and claiming her and speaking her into existence, to the point that I was hanging out with some friends of mine, and my parents actually happened to be there. And I'll never forget, my mom said to me, one of the guys was like, "Miss Briscoe, do you know this person named Devin? Is Devin real? Because Jill's talking about her." And this was 2004. I mean, this is way before her. So I had this one conversation. Fast forward, I had thought about adopting because I'm adopted. And that was actually the journey I was going to go on first. And I was adopted out of the Children's Home Society here in Florida. And in my mind, because there are so many Black and brown babies that you hear of that are out there that need forever homes, I thought, well, I'm legacy. They're just going to give me a baby. And I started the process, and for whatever reason, well, God knew what my plan was going to be. That wasn't it. And it didn't happen as easily for me. And so I had a conversation with one of my friends in late 2007, where I'm like, I'm worried about how people will perceive me, especially at school. In my job as an assistant principal, are they going to think that I,
oops
kind of situation? And my friend said, people who love you will not care one bit how you become a mother, because they know that this is what you want to do. And then the next year, I went to the reproductive medical group in Tampa and met with a doctor, and he was like, I know you can get pregnant easily. And so here's Devin.
That's phenomenal. And we're going to get into that process, because a lot of people don't understand what that process looks like and what it's all about. Sandra, I know for you, it's because you were a little bit later in the game, going through it. Walk us through kind of how you came to the conclusion that you wanted to be a son.
So for me, this is a long journey. At about 36, I was told I had fibroids. And that was the first time I ever even questioned whether I would ever be able to have a child. Mm-hmm. You always assume that you can. Women, you just assume that you can. And, I had this plan in my head, graduated from college at 23, married at 25, first kid 27, second at 29. Well, you know how that goes. None of that happened. Like Jill, you know, in relationships, but they never developed, so to speak. And so at 36, I'm diagnosed. That hit me hard. And I took 2 years to pull the trigger. My doctor kept saying, if you want to have kids, you need to do something. And one of my girlfriends, and I thank her to this day, my son Hampton is here because of her. She sent us an email, a group of friends an email, and said, I did not know that there was a test to let you know if you were making eggs. It's a simple test that you ask for when you get your physical, right? Add this to your blood test so that you know where you're going, so you don't get to a place where you want to have kids like I am and find out you can't.
Oh, wow.
That struck me. And that was around the same time I found out about my fibroids. So I was like, God was, you know, bing, bing, bing all over the place, you know? And so the 2 years at that 38, I finally pulled the trigger. And I went to the fertility specialist, reproductive biology associates here in Atlanta. And my OB wanted me to go to that clinic, to a specific doctor, to get surgery, because she knew that lady would preserve my uterus so that I could have kids. And she said, look, we're gonna get these fibroids, then we're gonna find out if you can have some kids, and then we're gonna get them eggs. I was like, okay. She told me what we were gonna do. I didn't. She told me how it was going down. So I said, okay. And that's what we did. And I thankfully got 11 eggs. You know, at 38, I had 11 eggs. That's a blessing. My fibroids were on the outside of my uterus. I was like, that's another sign, God sign. You know what I mean? I had eggs. That's another God sign. You know, so I was like, this is destined. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I did my IVF in two sessions. Most people do, you get the eggs, you go for it, whatever. We're going to talk about that later, but I wanted to give myself an opportunity to maybe find that relationship. So I froze my eggs. And like you said, Monica, we don't have an infinite amount of time. So when about 41 hit, I said, let me go and start trying to figure out what let me go on and get, look. My hashtag for my baby shower was old lady baby. And I was like, I'm okay with being a little bit old. I don't want to be old. So, I pulled the trigger, and it's a whole topic I don't think y'all even thought about, dating while pregnant.
Oh, no.
All of that. Yeah. I wasn't opposed to any of it. I was like, would you date a pregnant chick? Because this is happening, whether you have it or not, this is happening. And I was convicted. I knew I wanted to be a mother. So I was going to make it happen come hell or high water.
So the two things that struck me in both of you all's condensed stories, because I know both of you all's stories very intimate because we're close, is the fact that you all were intentional about your desires and unapologetic and focused on what it is that you want, right? And so I know that there are I will tell you that when I was where you all were, I had fibroids. I subsequently had a hysterectomy a year, the 18th of December, when I had a hysterectomy, but my fibroids were internal. And so when we were going through IVF, that was one of the challenges that I had, right? And so I remember at 35, having that same thought, Sandra, the doctor says you have fibroids. Is it possible for me to carry a baby? I knew I wanted to be a mom, but in the back of my mind, I had the same issues that you had, Jill. Well, what is everybody going to think? And how am I going to manage? And so when you all were working towards the decision to pull that trigger, such as you said, Sandra, what kind of things were going through your mind and how did you resolve those before you pulled that trigger? If anything was going through your mind, and either one of y'all can take it.
Sandra, you go ahead.
Okay. So for me, my coping mechanism is to detach. So I think I detached from the feeling of it and just said, this is what I have to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I have to do. In my core, I knew I wanted to be a mom. I never not saw myself as a mom. I couldn't even imagine that. Like, I don't want to be single and I don't want to be without kids.
Right.
I always saw I'm a family person. I like family, you know. So for me, the thought was, and because I had to do so much, I had 3 surgeries, an egg retrieval, then an implantation. So for me, it was always, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next? I was only going to the next thing.
You were goal oriented.
Yeah, I was only focused on what is the next step in the process that I have to accomplish. I have a soul wound of judgment, but I also have I don't care what y'all talking about thing, right? So a lot of times that drowns out that wound, right? And I didn't care. My life is my own. I don't owe anybody anything but to be myself.
Yeah.
So what I wanted, what I needed, how I needed my life to develop was what was driving me. It wasn't about anybody else. You accept it or you don't. You ride this train or you get off. That's on you.
Yeah.
What I had to do is what I had to do.
Jill?
I think my big goal was that I was previously living in an apartment, between apartment and had moved back home with my parents to save some money. I wanted to purchase a house. And that was like my main thing. I already had finished grad school, 2 master's degrees. My career was established as an assistant principal. So I felt security with that. I just knew I wanted to purchase a home. So I did that. But then it seems like there were probably steps that I had to take, but everything fell into place. So I didn't perceive, once I knew that I was going to do artificial insemination, really the biggest challenge was trying to figure out when I'm ovulating, because clearly the first 2 times I did not know how to read the stick at all. But the 3rd time was the charm, and then Devin came.
So this is fascinating. What I would love to do right now, I would tell you a good number of our viewers are women, or at least the ones that are vocal. Now we do have guys that'll kind of pipe in from time to time, but hopefully there's a lot of guys that are paying attention right now. You guys are talking about ovaries and eggs and ovulating and whatever. So give us, especially those of us who are guys who are tuning in, give us a crash course in how someone gets pregnant through the non-traditional method.
Okay, so for me, once I went to meet with the fertility doctor, and he said, "Yep, they did whatever tests. Yep, I think you can get pregnant." Then he sent me to the California Cryo Bank, which is it's online. It's a website. And so then began the process of, and that took a while, of picking out the sperm, the donor. And it was kind of interesting, because there were times that I would involve my friends, and like once I got down to like the top 3, and kind of pick people's brain, but just there's a wealth, and I bet there's even more information that you can get now, because this was 11 years ago, but you can get a wealth of information once you make that commitment. And so I have on the donor, we call him Donor Dad, I have his complete medical background, his family's medical history, their levels of education, and just all kinds of information. And then even I was able to purchase a baby picture of him. And then also I purchased an audio interview where I could hear him speak. Wow. And really the 2 things that like put him, because I narrowed it down to 3 choices. And the 2 things that helped me like make the final decision was, number 1, in listening to him, he was very interesting and sounded like somebody I probably, had I met, probably would have had some chemistry with. Like I was like, woo, just listening to him speak. But then the biggest thing was his baby picture. So after I narrowed it down, you know, religion, you know, health, blah, 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 all that, his baby picture looked so much like mine at the same age. Ultimately, that was the final thing, because I wanted a child who would hopefully kind of look a little bit like me, and you've seen
she does.
And she does.
So yeah, so then we even have the picture of him, me at the same age, and Devin in the middle. Monica, I don't even know if you remember. It's displayed prominently in her bedroom. So that's just part of our history now.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't wait to get into how you have the conversation with the kids about how they came about. But Sandra, what's your bachelorette story?
So for me, I did IVF, and I did it in 2 stages. I froze my eggs. A lot of people, if they freeze embryos, meaning fertilized eggs.
We did.
I did it in 2 steps and just froze my eggs. So you go through, when I tell you it's a lot, it's a lot. You give yourself shots every day. And it's exhausting. And you go to the Dr. Ding on there every day and basically get an ultrasound, an intravaginal ultrasound. So it's invasive. It's cold, it's business, it's not fun, it's not sweet, it's nothing of the sort. It's business. You know, I'll be in and out in 20 minutes. And it's like, you did your business, you know, like it was just that clinical, right? And so you do that, and then they say, okay, looks like, you know, the eggs are mature enough for us to take them. Give yourself a trigger shot, and that one you got to give it in the muscle. It's your butt, it hurts. I did all this by myself. And I got exhausted. And I remember texting Monica and the Divas one night, was like, y'all, I'm tired. It's just a lot. And you know, you go to surgery, you wake up, they're like, yeah, we got so and so many eggs, you know. And I was like, yay. Put those on ice. So then when I felt it was time to pull the trigger, the fertility doctor, they give you a list of banks that they work with. And I think it's the same one you did. I think it is. It's definitely in California. And this is the list of, you know, banks they receive sperm from. You go through the donors. First, my number one criteria was Black. I'm a Black woman. I want a Black baby. I want a Black family, right? Well, your choice is about this long.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's not a whole lot of Black donors. And so, but I found one, and I fell in love with his profile. You know, he was 6 whatever, big dude, like gee, somebody I could see myself, you know, got a degree in African American studies, of course, right? I was like, this is it. This the one. And then like, Jill, I got a baby picture. And I was like, oh, he cute. Look at him. I was like, so if nothing else, I knew Hampton would be dark skinned. You know, you know, I knew that. And so you go through, then the second process is they receive the sperm. They unthaw your eggs in the lab, you know, they fertilize the egg. You see how many you get. I had 11 eggs, got to 6 embryos, only 3 survived. That was it, right? So again, you're shooting yourself up, right? All these drugs and making sure, because the drugs control the process, right? They don't want your body to naturally go through the process. They're controlling everything because they have to inseminate the egg. The egg is not being fertilized inside of you, right? So you give yourself these shots, and your uterus has to be 8 centimeters thick before they could. Well, mine wasn't. And they were like, if you don't get this to 8 centimeters, you got to start this process over. I was like, nah, shawty, we're not doing that. So what do we need to do to get this to 8 centimeters? But then I went, it was 8 centimeters, and they were like, we're on for February 6th. That was 2 days after my birthday. And so you lay on the table, legs in the air. The doctor had 2 embryos on the screen. Mm-hmm. They're like, what do you want to do? You want both in or you want one in? You know, slightly better chance if you put both in. And I was like, he was like, I'm gonna step out, let you think about that. And I had a girlfriend, my girlfriend was with me. And I thought about it. And it was one egg that it was just all these cells. You could see all these cells had multiplied. And I was like, that's the superstar right there. That's the one we're gonna do. Aww. And I called him that. I called him that from that moment. It was superstar. He was superstar. And we did. And on February 15th, it was confirmed that I was pregnant. 9 days later. I remember that call because I remember she was walking us through. There was a connection. I know Sandra and I talked because I'd been through the IVF process as well, just to kind of prepare her. At least my experience was to let her know that it's challenging, even with the partner. Yeah. So I can't imagine doing it by yourself. It's double that. But I remember the call. She just sent me a text message and said, I'm pregnant. I think I scared Keith because I screamed. I was crying and sobbing just because I know, having gone through the IVF process and not having a positive result, how devastating that is, because we had 3 embryos and we did 2 fresh and then did 2 fresh and then 1 frozen. And I remember how devastating I was after the fact, and just thankfully I had him. And I did not want that for my sister because I know how much she wanted to be a mom and how that felt. So it was all this is God. I mean, God is over both of y'all situations. We're going to take a break. And then when we come back after our break, I do want to dig deeper into kind of the pregnancy and kind of how that was doing it by yourself. And then the beautiful blessings that you all have now and how that life is like, right?
And I also want to touch on the community, right? Because our show obviously focuses on the Black community. And you come from our community. So talk to us a little bit about how people felt about what it is that you were going through as well. So,
all right. We'll be back. We'll be back after the break.
Then I got stuck at Union Square, hoping that Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to a good friend of mine.
It's the Dash and Dale Day.
Put your hands together.
Jazz at Miss Connie's house. On In Touch Radio.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. Feedthepig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Listen to In Touch Radio anywhere. On your phone.
I'm listening to right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
Wherever we go, we about to bring on the positive vibe. Wherever we go, we are gonna do.
We are back. If you missed the first half of today's show, I just want to share with you, I think that what we're talking about today, this particular subject, is transformational. We've dedicated the month of November to adoption awareness. And then we're talking about all angles and all aspects of it, which is just non-traditional motherhood, non-traditional parenthood, and non-traditional parenting as well. And so we are blessed to have on our show today 2 ladies who made the conscious choice to have children as single moms. And so they walked us through during the first half of our show, just what this whole IVF, process and what happens when you have, eggs that are actually fertilized. And so it's very, very, very enlightening. And I'm sure that our viewers and our listeners feel the same way. So, but I want to talk about some other stuff too. Go ahead.
So I want to talk about the pregnancy itself, right? So I attend both of you all's baby showers, which were phenomenal. And you all were both beautiful, expectant mothers. But I am interested in, because you all were navigating the pregnancy itself by yourself, kind of what that was like in terms of the physical toll. I think probably self-explanatory, but there could be nuances for each of you all because pregnancy is not easy. But the emotional toll and spiritual toll that it took as well, knowing that in 9-10 months you were bringing a life into this world. And so Jill, I'll start with you. Kind of how I know your parents you are close. Sandra's mom too, but I know that your parents, because I see it, are actively engaged and involved with Devon's development. So how was the pregnancy?
I was blessed and highly favored. I did not have morning sickness. I had one day, and I think I made it up in my head, where I felt a little dizzy. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay home from work today. But other than that, it was, okay, I say uneventful. My mom will tell a different story, because whatever the first round of testing that they do, and especially, so we were advanced maternal age, whenever that was, I don't even remember what trimester it was, when they went to do the testing, the doctor said, well, we think we see 2 markers, meaning markers for like birth defect or Down syndrome or whatever. And, but I never let that even enter into what was going to be for my child. Now, I am a praying woman, and I'm Catholic. I probably said the rosary, which is a long set of prayers, probably every day of my pregnancy, just to be in touch with God and let God know that I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate this blessing, but I'm going to need you to definitely make sure that you are intervening and make sure that my child is fine. But then whenever they went to do the second round of, so if that's the next trimester, the second round of testing, all the markers had disappeared. Child, that was the devil trying to get in my head. No, you will not take over this. And what I really do believe is that, God has something for you so much better than what you could have ever imagined. And so maybe I was just so happy to be pregnant. I mean, I got it kind of, I was a little large. I love to eat cheeseburgers. That's probably the reason why Devon doesn't like cheeseburgers to this day. But it was just uneventful in that I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed growing. I enjoyed once she, my stomach started to completely develop, and then you could see that I wasn't just fat, I was pregnant. And my parents were completely supportive, involved, they would go to some of my appointments with me as well. Went with me when I found out that it was a girl, which was, I didn't speak it out loud. I think God knew what was in my heart. I wanted a girl, but I didn't say, I was happy to be pregnant. So I felt like it was selfish for me to say, and please let her be a girl. God knew that that's what I wanted. And I guess my mom would say the birth was traumatic as well. Not from my perspective, but I had to have an emergency C-section. But I had been watching TLC, so A Baby Story, and then some other thing, and that was all I did was watch about pregnancies. So I knew that there were times when the doctors would say, okay, I need you to, kind of get on all fours so we can kind of try to, shift the baby, or they'd kind of lose the heartbeat sometimes, but that it wasn't a big deal. Then you'd go into surgery and the baby would come out. And I have several friends who also had C-sections. So I wasn't afraid of that. But my mom was in the delivery room with me, and she was terrified. And they wouldn't let my dad in because you can't have that many people in with you or whatever. And she's like, he's got to see her before, and for me, I was at peace. And the doctor came in and was like, we still are having a little difficulty finding her heartbeat, so we're going to go ahead and get her out. I was like, okay, boom. And then she came, and you got so many drugs like that they give you when you're having a baby that you're like, oh, what? So I enjoyed the experience. Am I going back to it? No. 47 in a week, and but even when I was younger, my mom was like, you can go back and get the same sperm and Devin can have a sibling. I was like, negative. I can only handle what I got. Done. That was it.
Sandra, how was the because I know that your mom and Pam and your village in Atlanta is a tight village. How was your pregnancy journey?
So for me, mine was probably kind of the opposite of Jill's.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even I didn't make it a broad announcement. I didn't go public until I hit the 6-month mark.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to, I probably was riddled with fear.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to lose this baby. And 6 months for me was the point where if they had to take him or I had him, he would probably be viable. He could make it. So I waited 6 months. Also, being a big girl, folks didn't know I was pregnant. That's disappointing. I'm like, I know I'm a big girl, but my stomach ain't never looked like that. Y'all tripping. So I was able to hide it pretty much, changing the way I dress. But I went to appointments by myself. And like Jill said, you're advanced maternal age. So for me, I had 2 doctors. I had my OB, and I had I think it's called a maternal fetal something. Yeah, MFM doctor.
Old lady pregnancy doctor.
Old lady pregnancy doctor.
So you have 2 doctors that you go to, and so one is just doing the regular stuff, measuring your belly and, talking through. The other one is doing all the scans and looking at making sure everything's all right. There were a couple of times where I had to stay later for my appointments because something was off. And this is something I didn't know. The heartbeat can be there, but they might not be breathing. And that's a problem.
Oh.
And a couple of times they couldn't catch his breath. They couldn't pick it up. So I had to stay for monitoring.
Oh.
I talked myself out of that. No, we good. They're going to get it, so I'm sitting in the chair strapped up. They're going to get it. And it turns out I always got it. Like Jill, you get the test for the markers that came back. And this is another thing. My sperm donor was between 29 and 32. My eggs were 38.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And there's something about younger sperm, and men think just because you can have kids don't mean that your sperm don't get ruined. You can have old raggedy sperm. Go ahead. So you can be the person that's causing the issues in the development and not the egg. And so I just felt that because I had younger eggs and because my sperm was even younger, all was well. And it turned out to be fine.
Yeah.
But going to those appointments, I developed gestational diabetes. Devastated about that.
So explain to people who may not know, just briefly explain what gestational diabetes is.
Gestational diabetes is you develop diabetes while pregnant. And 9 times out of 10, once you have your child, it immediately goes away.
Okay.
And I had to give myself shots. And I was tired of already having done all the shots, so I had to go back to it. But then you're measuring insulin. and giving yourself shots. For me, I was getting too much insulin. So I would become hypoglycemic. I think that's right. Where my sugar would drop, and that's deadly.
Yeah.
Living alone, having that happen is frightening. One time, one of our good friends, Chrissy, was here, and I had to call her on the phone from downstairs and say, Chrissy, I need help. I think it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up because I felt it drop, right? And so at that point, I started keeping frosting by my bed, take a spoonful of frosting, you know. But then I became my own doctor, and I was like, I'm not taking that nighttime shot. I'm not dying in my sleep, you know, like, you know, and they were like, you're adjusting your medicine. Oh, well, y'all not there. I'm not, you know. So that was a lot. And I had so much stress on me from work. During my pregnancy, I was terminated. They beat up a lot on me at work. Even after I said I was pregnant, they didn't care. And that induced, I have a history of anxiety and depression. That started panic attacks for me, anxiety attacks. I had to go on medication. That devastated me. I didn't want to have to take any medication. I had high blood pressure. So something people don't know is when you get pregnant, your vessels kind of open up to get more blood to uterus. So my blood pressure went down. That was great, you know, so I didn't have to take medicine for that, you know, but I had a lot of challenges, you know, and when I went into the hospital, it was because I didn't feel him moving as much and my blood pressure had spiked. I was like, something's not right.
So you felt it and then took yourself.
I took myself. I did call, and they said, yeah, come on in. They were going to monitor me for 20 minutes. Then they says, no, we're going to keep you for overnight. Then they said, we're just going to see if we're going to go ahead and take this baby. I was like, excuse me, what? You know, like, what do you mean? I wasn't prepared for any of that, but I knew to take my bag. I took both of our bags. I knew. I took both of our bags. I called my mom. I said, they told me to come to the doctor, to come to the hospital. And I took our bags. And yeah, and it was decided that, yeah, I went on a Wednesday. They're like, yeah, Friday, we're going to take the baby. And then it was a discussion about, so we're going to do a C-section probably. We're not talking about that. What y'all talking about? You know? But because I had so many surgeries on my uterus, they didn't want it to rupture. During labor. So I said, okay, I'm good. I don't want to die. I don't want Hampton to die. So yeah, let's do this. You know, my mom was there. He's like my brother Tony was there. My neighbor and friend Cammie was my doula. She was there. And so she was in the operating room with me. That was traumatic. That was traumatic. The what do you call in your back? The
epidural.
Epidural hurt. They strap you down, you know, they strap you down. Then they give you another sedative that numbs you from here down. I couldn't breathe. The doctor was like, you're breathing. I was like, I don't feel like I can breathe. And I said, something isn't right. I started having a panic attack. I said, I'm going to throw up. I threw up. It was horrible.
I'm not laughing. I think people have, because I will share with you that once we adopted and we got, you know, Sandra was there the day after we brought Miles home. Yeah. And so Miles was a day and a half old when we adopted him and brought him home at 2 days old. And I remember telling him, I really feel like I missed something about not being pregnant. Every single person who has had a baby has said, and Sandra's confirming this, don't miss out on a single thing. There's nothing. Jill is the unicorn in the room. Right. There's nothing beautiful or exciting about that whole journey for most people.
But so to go,
I did.
I was gonna say, so let's fast forward. So what I'm hearing is, if you guys had to do it all over again, that you wouldn't do it.
I would. I have to.
Tell us about fast forward to your life.
Look at Jill's face away.
Well, Jill, okay, so Jill has a preteen, so you know she's going through that phase. So tell us about your life now as a single mom. You got what it is that you prayed for and toiled over and labored over now you're a single mom. So talk to our viewers about what does this look like now, Jill?
I think my parents raised me to be independent, and it's not that they certainly wanted me to probably have a more traditional path early on, but were completely open and loving and accepting of the path that, of me being a single mom, and really all of our family and family, the ladies in the church, everyone just accepted and wanted me to do what, I needed to do to be a mom. But my parents, they just raised me to be independent. And so now I've been single for so long, I can do everything. Monica, I painted my house, the outside of my house.
You did tell me
myself.
Yeah.
Like I put up the Christmas lights. I handle the financial decisions. I can do anything. And I model that for my kid, and she sees that you don't have to depend on anybody for anything. Now, are there times that things are difficult? Well, yeah. But I know that if I put my mind into doing something, I'm going to figure out a way to do it. I believe that, I have a deep faith in God, that he has ordered my whole path and Devin's path. And that, one of the biggest joys of my life is to be her mom. Like, I feel like I became the for real me once she was born. And it's not to say that I wasn't a complete human before that, because I was. But she completes our family. We have a small family. And so there are times that, I wish that I could have somebody else fussing at her about something, some base in the house that can be like, no, we said this. But that those thoughts are few and far between. Maybe one day he might come if I don't meet him in Publix. And now that I don't even go into Publix anymore, I don't know where he's gonna show up. I could be open to it. I'll never forget. One of the biggest challenges was when she was little, and kids grow up seeing what everybody else has. And so Devin was little saying, I want a daddy. And she was like 3. And she was like, you know what? I want a daddy, and you're not doing anything to get me one.
Wow.
I don't go. There was no need for me to go out anymore. When you're an older mother, when you've already done everything, been there, done that, starred in the movie. So when I had her, I stayed home. I don't feel the need to be out in the street and be here and be there and be seen. Nope, I've already done that. So she was right. I really didn't do anything. But at this point, we've got a good situation, and yes, it can be hard. I wouldn't say that I'm lonely, and I wouldn't call it lonely. I have such a support. Like, my friends are amazing, including you, Uncle Keith. Like, I think that there are people in Devin's life. My parents are very close to us and spend a lot of time with us. So I'm not alone, and I've got a support system. So I would absolutely 100% do it again. Would I do it twice with 2 babies? No. But I would
make that clear.
Okay, Sandra, tell us about Superstar Hampton.
Superstar Hampton.
So for me, it's challenging. I'm an introvert. I'm independent. I'm okay being by myself. I know one day I was like, Hampton, I don't like people all up on me. So I need you to back up.
I need you to explain how old your child is as you're saying that, though. 13 months. Give me 5 feet, dude. Is it so like when the COVID started, there's a 6 foot difference. We got a 5-year-old. I need you to give me 6 feet, dude. 6 feet is 6 feet.
But you can't do that.
You're not right at all.
So it's lovely at the same time though, right? It's beautiful that somebody loves you so much they want to be right under you, right?
Mm-hmm.
No wrong. And I told him before, I was like, I'm so grateful that you forgive so quickly and so easily. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but I'm grateful for it now. I was like, because when I lose it, when I can't handle it, when I'm having a bad day and I'm not the mommy I want to be, he didn't, he goes with it, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah, so for me, when I knew that I was doing this by myself, I thought about how I would do this by myself. And I knew I really wouldn't be by myself, right? I was single, and I say I'm a mom that's single. So I went about the business of looking at those people in my life that I knew I wanted to be in my son's life. And so this shirt is from the baby shower, and it's village in the hands, right? That was intentional. And everyone there got one. And I know some of y'all, I still need to mail you your shirts. But I was intentional about that, and how this village is going to be set up. For me, he's going to have godparents, but he's also going to have this council, this extra moms and extra dads, and my friends were so supportive and loving, and they were excited for me. It made a huge difference. And I'm so incredibly thankful for it. This pandemic has kept us from them, from y'all. And so he's kind of grown up in isolation, which I hate for him. And he doesn't know these beautiful, wonderful people that I have in my life, and I'm thankful for my mom and sister. From the moment I went to the hospital that day, she took me to the hospital. She was with me for 3 months straight, stayed at my house. And right now that's where he is, and thankfully she lives 2 miles away. So, so, but I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. People just have stepped in, stepped up. They send me random things. Y'all love on Hampton from afar. It's wonderful, and it is challenging. As my mother says, it is more than a notion. It is more than a notion. But I wouldn't change it. Those sleepless nights, those days I cried because I messed up and I challenge and I don't think I'm doing right by him, or when I think I don't deserve him, my village steps up and says, pump your brakes. I don't know what you're talking about. You're doing well, you're doing fine, and they remind me that this is what motherhood is about. This is what parenting is about. So, yeah.
So guys, I know that we have a couple minutes left. What I would love for you to be able to do, Jill, there are people listening, and we've even seen some in the chat that say that, there are older moms, older women considering having IVF and considering bringing a child into this world. This is your opportunity to speak to those individuals and say, if I were you, here's what I would leave with you. Here's what I would do.
Okay. And just for clarification, I didn't do IVF. I just was artificially inseminated. So thankfully everything worked, and it's truly God. God put his hands on it, and here comes Devin. But what I would tell anyone, especially if it truly is in your heart and you want to be a parent and you want to be a mother, nothing should stop you. To me, the joy outweighs the challenge, the pain, the sometimes heartache, the times where you're like, have I messed this person up? And then you're like, no, your baby is fine. I'm just gonna let you know, if mine is fine and I put all my OCD on her and she is a wonderful human being, there's no greater joy. And if you really want to do it, being alone, you can not have a child and have a hard life anyway. Life is hard. So are there challenges? Yes, but are they insurmountable? Are they things that you can't overcome? No, you can figure it out. And whatever the statistic was you read, how many single parents are out there, clearly people are doing it. And I would say, if it's in your heart, you got to go for it, because I always call her God's greatest gift to me. I have never made a better, like, this is the best decision I ever made in my entire life.
Sandra?
Same. Do what's in your heart. Do not let the time come where you look back and say, I should have. That is absolutely not going to cut it. That is not going to, especially for women who have a time clock. The clock is real. I don't care how many people you know that had a baby at 48. It's very few. Statistically, it is minuscule.
Right.
That is not the truth for everybody. It just doesn't happen like that. If you want, in the very least, know what's going on in your body. And then make a decision. If that's, maybe it's not going to be viable for you. Okay, then that's what it is. But if it is and you want it, do it. The rest will fall into place. I promise you. I was fired, and guess what? I'm fine. We're fine. We eat. I gained weight. We're fine. We're fine. Do it. Do it. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what your religion says. I don't care what society says. I don't care what your mama said. Do it.
Yeah.
Your life is your own.
Well, I have to say, I am so thankful for both of you all for being so transparent. Wow. As we go into we're in the Thanksgiving season, as we head into Thanksgiving week, and it's the Christmas season. I am thankful for both of you all. I am thankful to be a part of your village. I'm thankful to be Auntie Monica to Jill, thankful to be Auntie Monica to Hampton. Thankful that you all are part of our village. And so I think that's it. I just thank you all. So this was, I think you all have blessed. Your transparency has blessed others. That is our hope and our prayer. That is the reason we do this show. You all were purposed by God to be the mothers of those little angels that you all have. And so my prayer and hope is that through your stories and testimony, you were blessing other people. And so,
folks, we will see you after the Thanksgiving holiday. We ask that you please keep in mind, it is still COVID. Yeah. So I know that we all want to gather, have big gatherings, family gatherings for Thanksgiving, but please be safe. We will see you on the other side. Thank you, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.